Madam Chair, thank you. I want to join Chair Miller in thanking you for changing the venue at the last minute's notice, which can be a difficult logistic problem in this building with so many hearings going on, and finding one that's appropriate to make sure that everyone who wanted to participate had a chance to participate in a full and fair hearing, and so that all the committee members had a chance to listen to the testimony in the course of a full and fair hearing. So thank you for that, Madam Chair. I also want to thank you for really how you've conducted the hearing in what I think has been very accurately described a moment ago as a charged atmosphere. You really relieved the tension in the process by creating a hearing in which all members who wanted to had an opportunity to present their points of view and evidence to the committee. So thank you for that, Madam Chair. Also, I do want to focus on the three appointees before us because there's been a lot of testimony that it's important that these appointees should represent the communities that they're supposed to. And as just been noted, these are appointees of Little Compton for a coastal community under 25,000. It's been an appointee for municipality of under 25,000. That's Little Compton. And it also fits the coastal community of over 25,000, which Patricia Reynolds of East Greenwich also fits that. So these appointees do, in fact, pursuant to the statute, represent the communities that are meant to be represented by them on the CRMC. I asked the question about the environmental justice communities because I live in one. And while I do live in one, I only have what I would characterize as a broad understanding of what it means. And I was curious to see, given the repeated reference to it, what the specific importance of that was to these three appointees, to the three in front of us. And I do understand it to mean that it is a community that is burdened with environmental adversity, has environmental burdens that it is responsible for while it doesn't get the benefit of what those environmental burdens can produce for the community at large. And I live in one, and I realize the importance of that. I was asked the specific question, trying to understand what the connection was between that principle and those three appointees before us. And we know that Little Compton is not an environmental justice community, but these appointees, for instance, two from Little Compton, are not specifically appointed pursuant to the statute to represent an environmental justice community. That does not mean that they don't have the awareness or the sensitivity to understand when environmental justice community issues come before them, they can't be responsive to them. And we certainly do expect all appointees to be responsive to those issues. So that brings us to their specific credentials, because another part of that has been a number of witnesses who have testified that they are not qualified to appreciate the data and the evidence and the information that was brought before them. And that's aside from the fact that while certainly the criticism that we heard as to how the meeting that was run in disrespect is unacceptable, none of it was attributed directly to these three appointees. So if I were to...
Order. Everyone had a chance to speak. Let the senator speak, please. Thank you.
If I were to act inappropriately in the course of a meeting, and either the senator to my left or the senator to my right didn't call me out on it, I would hate to see them criticized because of my behavior. And so I really don't think it's fair to vicariously blame these three appointees for the misconduct and misbehavior of others. So what are the backgrounds of these three appointees? Why should we think that they have the necessary experience and education to be aware of and sensitive to those environmental justice issues that come before them? Well, Mr. Gomez, his education, he specifically has a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from Northeastern University. He's continued his education in the areas of math and science and management related to those matters, and particularly has had a career related to the use of technical expertise in underwater matters and physics and in vehicles in underwater. So he has a career path and a professional career that I think uniquely fits him to understand those kinds of issues. What about Patricia?
Excuse me, Senator. I would just ask that the people that are here to have the respect for the senators as we have had for you to listen to your testimony. So if you just would be quiet and listen to what the senator has to say, it'd be most appreciated. Thank you.
And I do apologize to my fellow committee members and those in attendance that my review may seem rather lengthy, but I think it addresses important.
I think it's very appropriate.
Important testimony that came before the committee. Patricia Grace Reynolds, quite an educational background. She has a Bachelor of Arts from Brandeis University in 1983. Went on to continue her career, her academic career at Cambridge University in England. Went on from there to continue her education at the Boston Architectural Center, a very well-known architectural program in Boston, Massachusetts, and then off to the Rhode Island School of Design to acquire her Bachelor of Arts in 1993 and her Master of Architecture in 1994, and has a career in planning, permitting, and now serves since 1998 as a senior planner an economic development planner, as well as an architect and urban planner at the City of Warwick. So credentials that, again, seem uniquely fitted to service on the Coastal Resources Management Council, and a background, an educational background, and a career background that really would seem to particularly sensitize her to the kinds of issues that our witnesses have been concerned about. Finally, Michael Hudner. Mr. Hudner has his Bachelor of Arts in Architectural Sciences and in City and Regional Planning from Harvard College. It's a little school in Cambridge that is fortunate enough to be close to Boston College. And he's gone on from Harvard College to acquire his Doctor of Jurisprudence from New York Law School. He's had, his career has been in international shipping and operations. Very familiar with coastal matters, familiar with shipping as they affect those coastal matters, and has maintained and served in offices in the capacity for that company, by the way of which he is a co-founder in New York, Rhode Island, Singapore, Oslo, and Bermuda. So he brings an international experience to his service to the Coastal Resources Management Council, which I think Narragansett Bay deserves. It deserves that kind of worldview in understanding what the mission of the Coastal Resources Management Council is and how it can really further those environmental justice concerns that I know we all in this committee have and that everyone in this room has. So I think the focus, while it's appropriate to look at these broader issues, we really need to look specifically as to whether or not these three reappointments are qualified for their positions. So, Madam Chair, I thank you for your patience, and I thank my fellow committee members for their patience as well.
I thank you, Senator Connolly, for bringing those issues forward. I think sometimes it's good to let folks know that we do have an extensive resume on each one of the appointees that are brought before us. So I just think it's good that you brought certain things. I was also looking at Mr. Hudner's application, and he's also a trustee of Phoenix House of New England, as well as a trustee of Boys Club of New York. So,
And Madam Chair, I would note that, although I didn't go into them, that all three of these people also have within their resumes a background that shows that they are dedicated to civic involvement, and
Yes.
that's a part of, I'm sure, what motivates them to want to serve on the Coastal Resources Management Council.
thank you, Chairman Connolly. Next, anyone else?